Big Sky Outdoors, powered by Town Pump, fueling your next outdoor adventure, is also brought to you by Counter Assault, your ultimate protection in the wild. By Montana Army Navy, get it, get out, and live it. The Outdoor Report is provided by Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. And Bob Ward's, everything outdoors, Montana style.
Hi, this is Joel, and this week on Big Sky Outdoors, we're going to go turkey hunting. We're here with our good buddy Daryl Lane, and he's going to show us where they're at.
Well, you know, this morning we got in here right at daylight, and we've got birds roosted and gobbling on both sides of us today. We've got some down here to the south, some over here to the north. We're going to get set up right in the middle, and let's go get them.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, it's the spring of the year and it's a mating season. The gobblers are gobbling, and what they're trying to do is gobble and gather up hens. So our work is kind of tough. He's used to the hens coming to them, so we have to get creative and find ways to make that gobbler come to us and set up. So there's some different strategies involved. You saw we used the decoys the other day when we hunted, and also we're going to use different types of calls to try to lure that gobbler in, making him think that he's got some hens and he needs to come check them out.
Tell us about these calls. What are the different kinds that are out there?
Well, for a real beginner, the most simple one is just a little box call. And the nice thing about it is it's not that hard to operate. You chalk it a little bit to get some friction in there. Way to make yelps. You can do cuts, putts, cackles, everything that a turkey does on a box call. One of my favorites is obviously the diaphragm calls. I use different types and different reeds so I can sound like a bunch of different turkeys. The great thing about these is you can make every sound they make with this as well. A third type of call that a lot of people really like to use, what's great about a little slate call is you can kind of use it in any type of weather conditions. It has a slate on the surface. This is called the striker. It has a carbon rod. It's got a little sound chamber on the back, and it's just simple to use. You can do cuts and putts by just going straight, and you can do yelps by making a real simple circle. So easy to use and great call and effective as well. Basic calling is all you really need to know. I'm no expert champion caller by any means, but I'm just going to demonstrate a few basic calls. The first thing is just your basic yelp. That's the way it sounds on the diaphragm. You can use a box call, you can use the slate that we talked about earlier, so that's awesome. And then you have what are called little putts. And these are little noises. When the turkeys get really close and they're looking for each other, they'll make just this really quiet putt, just like that. That's saying, hey, I'm just right over here. Where are you at? That works out nice. In addition to the putts, turkeys will also do what's called a cut. That's a more of an excited type of a call, more of a distance location type call, and when they really get excited, they do what's called a cackle. You'll hear them do that when they fly off the roost in the morning, and you'll also hear them do that when that hen is really excited and saying, hey, I'm ready, Mr. Gobbler, come right on over here. So add that to your repertoire, and I think it'll help you out. That field down here below us is a classic strut zone. If you looked up strut zone in the dictionary, that's the picture you would see right there. So let's go find some other birds.
Warm weather is right around the corner, and your local town pump has everything your family needs along with great savings. This month's specials include a liter of Pepsi, 2 for $3, Fritos and Cheetos, just $2.49, and Hostess bag donuts, 2 for $5. With over 90 convenient locations across Montana, we are sure to have everything you need and more.
Find your next adventure at Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors. Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors, Montana style.
You know, to take care of business, the first thing you need, obviously hunter safety is the most important thing that we think about. So we're always making sure that we're safe. We're always making sure we're shooting in a direction where we don't have anybody else. We're careful about the colors that we wear. You don't want to have blue jeans on. You don't want to have a red bandana on. You don't want to have any colors that look like a turkey, because as you're calling, you might even be attracting other hunters. So keep this in mind and make sure your setups are safe. To take care of business, any shotgun will work. I recommend a shotgun with a full choke, because that gives you a good tight pattern as the birds come in close. So you're going to be shooting easily within 40 yards probably when you're shooting a gobbler. You're aiming for the head and the neck to make a good clean kill shot. This happens to be a 20 gauge pump with a full choke. It works out just great. Crawled out into the field here, set up a little decoy spread. We got a couple hens, I got a couple of fans from gobblers that are fanned out. So it's kind of an advertisement. They should be able to see it from a long way away. We're hoping it'll draw them in. We'll sit concealed here in the woods, do some calling, and see what happens. This is fun. Once again, it's the springtime of the year, and we're incorporating some different types of strategies. You saw that we used some decoys. The gobblers and the hens are still flocked up pretty good. They haven't really scattered out very well. So it's been a hard job of being able to call those gobblers away from the hens. So one of the strategies we've incorporated is trying to actually call those hens in as well. They usually bring the gobblers in tow. And when we did have success this week, that's kind of the method that we use. We had to basically call the whole flock in. In a week or so, those gobblers, as the hens begin to scatter out and nest, they'll become bachelors again and be a little bit easier to call. Talk a little bit about turkey calls here. In particular, I use a lot of diaphragm reeds, and this particular brand happens to be Carlton's. You pick those up at Bob Ward's here, and they're really good about supplying us with good turkey calls. There's different reeds in each one. The one I'm using today is a 2.5. You'll notice it's got a little cut in there, which gives it a nice raspy tone. This is a triple reed. I've got a Carlton's single and a Carlton's double. So I have a lot of variety here that allows me the opportunity to sound like a bunch of different turkeys. What I'll do a lot of times, if you have one that's not working or you get busted by a tom, you can change your call up and sound like a whole different turkey then and do a new setup. And We got a gobbler right there. We got a gobbler coming this way. Give you a quick synopsis here. The big gobbler was following two different hens. There was a couple other small gobblers that were hanging with those two hens too, and he was mostly preoccupied with warding them away from the hens, and so that's what he did the whole time. We had 4 or 5 jakes that were kind of roaming around by themselves. They were interested in our decoy setup. Couldn't get them to come in, so I crawled out there and I actually moved the decoys out into the field instead of the brush. That brought them in within about 50 yards. Then they turned and started to walk away. So I went back out there and I pulled the gobbler fans off, hoping that maybe with the gobblers not tending the hens, they might come on in. But that didn't work either. They ended up turning around and following the main flock, which is now across the road, working the ridge on the other side. Been a great day. We've been in turkeys all day long. It's still early in the season. They're still flocked up, as you can see. Tomorrow's another day, and who knows? We're gonna make it happen.
Counter Assault, the original bear deterrent, has been made, developed, and scientifically tested in Montana for nearly 30 years.
Counter Assault is what I chose for my staff based on my personal experience, scientific testing, and it's the only one that met all the expert recommendations. Spray time and spray distance are important in a bear attack, and Counter Assault has both. As an avid hiker, hunter, and outdoorsman, Counter Assault is my first line of defense in bear country.
Carry what the professionals carry. Counter Assault, Grizzly Tough Bear Spray. Look for the red can.
Well, we came out here this morning, had a bunch of turkeys chasing all around us, and had one really nice big tom. Couldn't get him to come quite in close enough, but had some smaller ones come in and got my first turkey.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this is just a Jake turkey. That is the entire beard right there. That sure isn't much, but I tell you what, the trophy today isn't the big long beard or the long spurs. It's the good meat that's going to go on the table. So these young Jakes make really good table fare. Well, I'll tell you what, Joel, they gave us a workout this morning, didn't they?
Boy, they really did.
We had to sit, I think, for at least 2 hours still, so we can be. The gobblers, the whole flock finally came out at the end of the meadow over here. The gobbler was so henned up that he would not leave those hens, and they finally slowly worked their way across this field. We were able to get the hens right into the decoys, but the gobbler stayed out and circled around. We just out of range, wasn't he, Joel?
Yeah, just a little too far for my confidence.
And then we were ready to kind of call it quits and give it up, and lo and behold, our cameraman goes, "Here comes the Jakes." Well, I needed a turkey for the table, so after as much work as we've done, I decided let's take some, and Joel did a great job on his turkey. I was able to shoot one right after he did, and we're gonna put our tags on these and head to the house. There you go.
Find your next adventure at Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors. Bob Ward's Sports and Outdoors, Montana style.
Here's this week's outdoor report by our friends at Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks.
In the late 1990s, the number of people floating and fishing the Beaverhead and Big Hole rivers increased dramatically.
We had 4 or 5 boats strung out over 100 yards up and down the entire river, and a lot of folks like me just simply moved off the river and went and looked for something else to do.
So a diverse group of users joined Fish, Wildlife, and Parks to create user rules that even today are unique to rivers across the country.
They saw that there was a need, and they took the steps necessary to ensure that a river such as the Big Hole remains a really quality recreational experience for everyone.
These user regulations restrict outfitters and non-residents from floating certain portions of the Beaverhead and Big Hole rivers some days during the summer.
As an outfitter, I mean, it's been something that you just had to learn how to work with. You know, you just had to evolve. You know, we've all figured out our own little niches and how to operate within the scope of what we have in front of us.
This year marks the 15th anniversary of these user rules, and while they are up for review, they remain widely supported and unique to rivers across the state.
They're part of the fabric of the river at this point. We're 15 years in, and it's been widely accepted, it's been widely published, and it's been, you know, to a certain extent used as a model for other rivers.
I'm Winston Greeley, out among Montana's fish, wildlife, and parks.
Property Well, you know, Joe, I started hunting turkeys many years ago when I was a young kid growing up in the Ozark Hills of Missouri. We live in Montana now. Of course, we love having an opportunity to hunt turkeys here. And the native species to Montana was originally the Merriam's turkey, and we still have a few of those around. But thanks to the efforts of the National Wildlife Turkey Federation, they've reintroduced turkeys in a lot of the areas, eastern turkeys mostly. In fact, it wasn't that long ago we had to draw a permit just to be able to hunt turkeys, didn't we, Joel?
We did. Yeah, when I moved here 16 years ago, you had to put in for a turkey tag, and now they'll give you 2 tags a year.
Right.
So
you can buy
a great success.
We can buy those right over the counter, and we can hunt in the spring, and we can, if we don't fill our tags in the spring, we can also hunt turkeys in the fall. So lots of great opportunities thanks to our Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks.
Great.
Now, Joel, you had an opportunity this week to do some calling and harvest your first turkey. So tell us about that.
Well, I've been interested in hunting turkeys for quite a few years, and I've been out a few times over the last 8 or 10 years trying to figure it out on my own. And I've had gobblers coming in close before, but not close enough that I felt comfortable shooting. And so today, to go out with you and really learn some better technique and use some decoys and set it up just right, you know, someone that's more experienced, it just made it all work, and we got those jakes to come in, and we were able to harvest a couple of them. And getting my first turkey was a great experience, and it was really fun. Thanks so much.
Well, you did a great job. You know, that's what it's all about, is passing on that legacy, sharing it with your friends and family. We get to take our kids hunting and teach them what we know, and keep this great sport of hunting alive.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you for joining us. We're not done yet. We hope we can get some more turkeys before this season's over.